Okay, we've got some standard action here from the new Players League between Kroh at the top of the screen and Alonso at the bottom. This is quite a drawn out control mirror, so I've time walked this to 3 times. It's going to be blue-black control with Ivan at the bottom of the screen. Brett is on, I believe, Bant control. So we'll have to see what their win condition is. This was actually pre-recorded by Ivan, so we're seeing Ivan's hand at the bottom there. And I suspect we'll probably have quite a few dead cards. You can see the Moment of Craving and the 2 Fatal Push in hand for Ivan. Those will be coming out sideboard for sure, I'd imagine. So straight up, we've got a Planeswalker. It's an Nissa Steward of Elements. This will enable him to scry. You can see there, look at the top 2 cards for a +2, so you immediately go to 3. It's nice. That's a nice start, particularly playing it into a potential counter spell. It didn't get the counter spell, so he's got a very good start. But you can see there straight up, Vraska's Contempt with the Search for Skanta is going to permanently remove the Nissa. But looking at Ivan's hand, 3 dead cards, so Brett's going to main phase a Opt, probably hoping to find possibly a second Nissa, while Ivan is tapped out. Unfortunately not, past the turn. So Supreme Will can help him find something. At this stage, both players will just be intent on hitting their land drops. Search for a Skanta flipped is going to be a huge one here. On the other side with Brett, I don't know, I'm not familiar with the Bant deck in Standard, so I don't know what his angle is, like what he's trying to do with the green. Obviously we saw Nissa Steward of Elements there. Well, Scavenger Grounds is a good pickup for Brett because it's going to be able to exile the graveyard so Search can't flip. So he's going to have to do it next turn. Ivan actually has a disallow, so he could disallow that trigger if he wanted to. We'll see if he's going to do it. Yeah, there it is there. So Scavenger Grounds to exile the graveyard. Is he going to disallow the trigger? No, he's not. Thematic Compass is a very good card here. 2, 4, 6. It's going to help him find his 7th land. I don't know if I'd counter that because it becomes a... I forget the name of it, but it's a copy of that EDH All-Star that stops a card from attacking. Which is probably stops a creature from attacking, sorry, but it's probably not going to be the best here. Doomfall is a good pickup, so we're going to get a look at his hand. You can see there lots of dead cards. 2 Settle the Wreckage and a Fumigate. Supreme Wills or Hour of Promise is another good one to take out. Hour of Promise, though, he doesn't have a desert at the moment, so he can't get the zombies from it. Okay, he finds 2 zombies. Normally the zombies will be good, but you can see because of the dead cards in Ivan's hand, he's going to... they're not going to do as much. So here comes a second Hour of Promise. 2 zombies, but that's going to enable Ivan to use his removal spells. 2 quick cycles there. I'm a bit surprised he cycles the cast out. So now he gets to use the cards. He'll go to 24 life. He keeps a zombie alive. I'm a bit surprised by that as well. Going to keep the commit. So we can see Ivan's just loading up on counter spells, getting prepared for the long war of attrition. Here's a main phase Supreme Will, looking for probably a win con. But you can just... And here's his own Search for Skanta. That one resolves. Fatal pushes the zombie. Uh, Brett with a lot of lands. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 lands. And you can see he's picked up another scavenger ground, so Ivan's search for Skanta won't be flipping anytime soon. And here's a huge pull if this resolves. Ivan with only 6 lands. See how much he's going to pull for here. One thing I will let you guys know ahead of time is that there was an issue with recording the standard, one of the matches here in standard, so this is actually going to cut out one of these matches. I don't remember which one cuts out and we don't see the end result, but I'll let you know the result when it happens. So here's a Supreme Will looking for something. So there's a Gear Hulk. Looks like he's thinking of the Field of... Yeah, he's going to take the Field of Ruin. So he's obviously going after a land here, possibly the search for Skanta. So I don't think I would have played that out right there. I would have played the island first because you kind of want him to flip that search. Because I think you'll find now that Brett won't be inclined to... Oh, he's going after the scavenger grounds, okay. I was going to say, I don't think Brett would be inclined to flip the Skanta if there's a Field of Ruin on the battlefield. And this time it flips. But without a scavenger grounds, it means... Oh, he's going to fire off the cast out to get the other search, so this is going to be serious card advantage. We'll see if Ivan wants to fight over this. He doesn't. So he loses his search for Skanta. He can actually bounce that cast out with commit and then at the on the instep and get back the Skanta so that it flips on the upkeep. But Brett just has so much mana. It's going to be interesting to see what he's got to do with it. Yeah, so that's the play that Ivan's going for. Going to bounce the cast out on the instep. As Skanta comes back, it'll flip on the upkeep. Finds another Supreme Will. I'm surprised, just a minor point here, but he's using F4 to skip there. Now he's turned it off, okay. Yeah, because he's got 2 disallows in hand and a Supreme Will, so... Okay, so he uses F4 to go through his own turn and then gets to his opponent's turn and then clicks through the opponent's turn. That's fair enough. So here's another Skanta. This is just going to be a scry each turn, you can't flip both, and... Okay, so now the jig's up. We just saw the approach. That's his win con. And here's a second Nissa. So is this going to be a fight? It is. Is there a counterspell? No. Another disallow. Okay, Scarab God not at its best, but now's the time to play it, I think. Shields are down. He's just looking, what can I get out the grave? There's nothing. I would be inclined to play the Scarab God and just let it die if that's the case. It's a 5/5 beta, sure, but it's not going to do the work that it normally would against a creature-heavy deck. Okay, here's the first approach. Now, the old trick is you don't counter the first one, you've got to counter the second one. The only reason you would counter the first is to get it into the graveyard, but it still puts the condition on the stack, even if it's countered. Ivan does have to be wary here because he has to fight for the second one. He does have 2 disallows, but it means he's going to have to keep them up. Now he's found his 4th disallow. Nothing for Scarab God to find. Brett, you can see 31 life. There's another Hour of Promise. So I'm guessing he's playing 4. And you can see on Brett's screen there, he's got so many lands, the X-Mage program is using a second row. You can see 2 rows of lands, it's crazy. So 3, 1, 2... Now he's using the new Rivulet targeting Ivan. Normally they do this the other way and target themselves to get the... This is actually a bit of a silly move, I think. Normally you'd do it on yourself so you could find the search approach faster, but he's potentially putting cards for Scarab God into the bin. So you can see here, there's a Gear Hulk. So end of turn, he can actually use the Scarab God to get back a Gear Hulk because Brett's tapped out here. He's not going to do it though. I'm a bit surprised by that. Fatal Push a zombie, because it's basically a free turn. You don't, Fatal Push is useless here. The zombie works as a chump blocker, and as a Settle the Wreckage. What happened there? I think he declined to use it. We know from the previous Doomfall he's got a Settle the Wreckage and a... He's shuffling each player's graveyard. I don't know why he did that. He had a Gear Hulk he could have bought back with the Scarab God. And now Brett cycles a Cast Out, which could have answered that Scarab God as well. Okay, here's a second approach. This is going to obviously need a counter spell. There's a counter, so if Brett's got a counter, then he wins. And he does. So game 1 goes to Brett Kroh. And we're on to game 2 now. Ivan trying to win to stay alive. I'm going to be a bit rude and eat my morning snack while I watch. You can see a land problem here for Ivan. He's going to be forced to cycle this hieroglyphic to try and find something. If he can find the land, then he should be okay with the Supreme Will. And he finds it, so he's lucky there. And he finds another land, so all is well. Doomfall, what's he going to take? Probably Nissa, yep. You can see there's quite a few. I'm surprised the Fumigate's still in there. I probably would have kept Settle the Wreckage over Fumigate. Okay, he's playing the Tutor for Lost Legacy while tapped out. Oh, he's going to get him here. Again, Brett taps out, so Lost Legacy next turn for approach. You know, obviously we saw the zombies from game 1, but I don't think the zombies will be enough to win this matchup. So I'm gonna be curious to see what his alternate win con is. Yep, couldn't name that card fast enough. And unfortunately he flicked through before he could really see what the win cons were. But the beatdowns are going to start here from the zombies. Brett's just saying in chat that he did put in another win con. So we'll have to see what it is. He can resolve the Scarab God here. But chooses not to. Okay, here comes a big pull. This is going to be interesting. He's going to tap out for it. Is this going to bring a counter spell? I think so, yeah. Yeah, I think he's got a negate, so this time he goes for the Scarab God. 3 cards in hand on the other side. Is one of them a cast out? No, one of them's a Fumigate, but that's just going to put the Scarab God back in his hand. Not really sure about that one. And he's going to disallow it. Okay, nice play there from Brett. I assume that he must have drawn that disallow because he could have just used it to counter the Scarab God instead. But you can see, like game 1, Brett's got a ton of lands again. Now he's going to get aggressive with the search. Gearhulk comes down. There's only 2. He's got access to 3 mana. What's he going to flash back? The Hieroglyphic Illumination. A second Lost Legacy. Probably not as good here. I don't know what you could name. See, if he took his time, if he's got 2 Lost Legacies in hand, I don't know if he saw the second. I don't know if he saw the second WinCon last time. He could name it this time. We'll see what he's going to name. He's going to go after Nissa. Nissa in itself is not a WinCon, so what has he got there? All I saw was the Hour of Revelation. If that's his second WinCon and this one's over, we're going to game 3. I like the negate there, be aggressive. Supreme Will won't work here because he's got 4 available. Wait, did he just pay the 3? Oh, I think he changed his mind on the Supreme Will, okay. Three turn clock here from Brett, so he cycles his land. Doesn't muck around with the scavenger ground, so he's going to exile the graveyard. So here's an Hour of Promise. This could potentially be countered. It is going to be countered. I think that was his last WinCon. Disallow, I think you take. He's going to take the second Escanta. Okay, so 1 card in hand for Brett, and a search for Escanta in play, along with an Escanta, the Sunken Ruin. But you can see Ivan's got Vraska's Contempt in hand, so if there's going to be any decent threat... Oh, here's another Hour of Promise, so Brett's very good at finding these. But I think unfortunately they're just outclassed by a 5/6 Gearhulk on the other side. This time he takes... Oh, he takes the Commit to Memory, okay. Don't know. I think that's a bit aggressive, that Vraska's Contempt. Unless he just wants to get this over with quickly. What's he want to Field of Ruin here? Oh, okay, he can use the Field of Ruin to take down the Iskanta. There's a Settle the Wreckage. So he's searching for an answer here, and he doesn't find it. So he loses his Gear Hulk. Another Hour of Promise. I cannot believe how many of these Brett has found. I think he's cast all 4. You can see the 3 zombies on there. I don't know how many board wipes. Now, a flipped thematic compass is going to be very good here, because it's going to flip on the instep. It'll check a Gear Hulk or a Scarab God. Ivan says, I don't want the 2 lands, so it gives him 2 lands anyway. Luckily he gets another Glimmer. You can see Brett again with so many lands, it's taken up 2 rows. He does have 2 zombies, 3 zombies down there. There they are. Oh, and a Carnage Tyrant. That's going to be a big one in this matchup. Ivan just bounces it back to hand with Commit to Memory. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can actually play that back out again if he wanted to. What's he want to take here? He's going to take the Disallow. 6 damage coming across. So that Carnage Tyrant, it's cannot be countered and it has hexproof. That explains the green splash, certainly. The other thing here is that Brett is up a game, so he's looking very good here to take this one 2-0. I'm surprised he didn't play the Carnage Tyrant out again. He doesn't want those 2, so he finds another Commit to Memory and a Gear Hulk. Okay, so 8 cards. He can't flip because he's already got an Iskanta, so he's just going to keep getting the... a Supreme Will. Not really sure what he would be looking for here. 3 cards in hand. We know that one of them is a Carnage Tyrant. Oh no, actually, I think the play previously from Ivan was to cast Commit to Memory, puts Carnage Tyrant on top, Then he used Field of Ruin to shuffle it into the library, so that was a nice play. And that's the cut game, so we're going to game 3 now. Ivan somehow came back and won that. We don't know how. So this is the deciding match. Ascant has been pretty good for both these players. Gift of Paradise is a ramp spell there. I'm surprised. He says no, I don't. Oh no, he took the island. I was going to say he said no, and then it gave it to him anyway, but... So a third land drop missed here. But he does have 2 Gift of Paradise, which ramps for 2. Two, 4, 5. He's up to 6, so he can play. Here's his Hour of Promise. It'll be interesting to see if he's bought in anything else after we saw the 2 Lost Legacies in the first game. Oh, here's going to be the first test. Lost Legacy. Her name Approach, I'm guessing. Yep. I had 1 in hand. Again, he doesn't look at to see what the other win con is. I think if he doesn't have another win con out the sideboard and he's trying to win with the Hour of Promise, I don't think you can do that. 2 zombies is just not powerful enough on this board. He's going to fire off a Glimmer here because Ivan was tapped out. Bontu's Last Reckoning. Main phase Supreme Will looking for something here. No, he's going to cycle instead. So he cycles twice. Looking for something. End step Glimmer. 2 Gear Hulks in hand now. And he adds a counterspell to the list. So he's going to be able to Gear Hulk for a Glimmer here. But Brett's got access to, again like in the previous 2 matches, he has access to a lot of mana. So here's a test. Gear Hulk, is there a counterspell on the other side? Yes there is. Supreme Will. So he just uses the Scanner here to keep hitting land drops. So here's Nissa. Well, this is kind of a giveaway here because you can see he's playing Nissa for 6. That's a tell. That's saying that I don't have a counter spell because he could have held up the mana to represent a counter spell because the extra 2 loyalty points on Nissa are not that important. So Ivan can safely cast his Gear Hulk and counter that. And so now the beatdown start. He's got a 5 turn clock. Brett's only got 2 cards in hand. So, you know, I don't know if he drew that Supreme Will for the turn, but if he had it in hand, it would have been an absolute blowout if he played that Nissa and then countered the Gear Hulk. Okay, cast out's going to go after the Gear Hulk. He's going to disallow the trigger. And this is going to be a fight. And did he get a cast to commit? So you can see Brett's out of cards, so that's it. He can safely counter this. So that puts it on top of the library, so we know that Brett then is going to draw for his next card a disallow. I think you want to keep that. So Ivan now firmly in the driver's seat. 7 mana, I wonder if he's interested in cycling that fetid pools. 3 turn clock, Brett drawing a disallow. Yeah, he's going to cycle it. And we go to the next turn, so draws, nothing doing. Oh, it's a forest. Actually, I think Commit to Memory puts it second from top. I don't think you need to disallow that because he's got a Commit to Memory. Oh, I'm a bit surprised by that. He's got Commit to Memory in the grave. He could have just shuffled those cards back, straight back. He's got a 2 turn clock going here. And actually putting cards in the graveyard when you got Scarab God was going to work to your advantage. You can see Brett's got no cards. He's playing off the top of his deck here. Two turn clock, so this mill plan is not going to get the job done. But I think this one is over because Gearhulk will be lethal next turn. Brett needs to top deck something. I think here you can just find, you could just find a counter spell, but he finds a Lost Legacy. And that's it. Okay, this is modern now after Ivan took standard 2 games to 1. It looks like we're looking at Ivan's hand again. He's on I forget the name of the card, but it's Living End. So Ivan's playing green red, which plays in Grixis colors. You can see the green, red, and black. So Brett at the top of the screen. We don't actually see this Living End deck too much, to be honest. Okay, Brett's, we know, well, he can only be on 2 things, and a main deck Relic is going to be very good in this matchup. Cycling a Street Wraith when you've got a Stomping Ground, that should give away the deck he's up against immediately. Beast Within, very good here. I'm surprised he did not tap the Relic in response and at least get the Street Wraith. Okay, there was a little bit of doubt when he plays Nurse's Tower. He could possibly be on, I forget the name, Eldrazi Tron. But once he plays a Forest, I think it's pretty clear he's playing traditional Tron. Finds a Walking Ballista, so that's not ideal from the Ancient Stirrings. He usually wants to find a decent land. In comes the Beast. So the idea of this deck for Ivan is to cycle as many cards as he can as quickly as he can, and then find a card that has Cascade so that he can cascade into Living End and get back all those cycled creatures from the graveyard, put all the creatures in play into the bin. Expedition map is probably what he wanted to find on Brett wanted to find on the previous turn from the Ancient Styrian. So he's found Urza's mines. He's one piece short now. He's got 4 cards in hand. We know one's a mine, so he'd be hoping that one of those is something decent. The problem here is that this deck of Ivan's can actually go off on 3 mana. You can see he's already got a ton of cards in the graveyard. There's a Living End. So he doesn't want that in his hand. He's got enough to win it already here. So he's going to play. The Ballista's not going to be for much, and Ballista's actually quite bad in this matchup because if it was to be in the grave, it comes back as a 0/0 with no counters, so it does nothing basically. You can see Ivan's going to drop to 11. There's 5 power on the board. 5 power on the board, so it's a 2-turn clock. Oh, he's going to buy himself a turn here by going after what? A Tron piece? Yep. Just to hold him off Tron, because I think for Brett, he's probably thinking about an Oblivion Stone. Oblivion Stone would be a good out here. Yeah, I think you may as well... No, he's going to hard cast him in Spirit Guide. That's a bit... hard casting just to buy himself a turn. One interesting thing is these kind of, I don't know what they are, upside down triangles. I think they're meant to look like an hourglass to symbolize summoning sickness. For some reason mine doesn't have that. Of course, this match recorded by Ivan, who's on the bottom of the screen. You can see 8 power coming across, so he's got to go off next turn or he's dead. That's lethal. So he's in top deck mode now. Right now, needs the top deck, or he's dead. What can he find? Dead. So we're going to go to a... He suspends Living End, but yeah, Brett's going to take game 1. Beaten by his own beasts. So after Ivan took standard 2-1, we're going to go to game 2 here. Brett actually took game 1 of standard as well, so we'll see how he goes this time. Fulminator Mage is in now. I'm not sure if this deck plays Fulminator Mage in the main board or if it's brought in from the sideboard. Turn 1 Ancient Styrians. His Ancient Styrians last time was bad, it only found a Ballista, so what can he find this time? Oh, even worse, he's found a Forest. The worst possible card you can find from an Ancient Styrians. You can see that card, the demonic 1 black red, I forget what it's called. That's the card he wants. He cascade into Living End with that. He can actually do it on turn 3 if he wanted to. I think you'll probably, because there's no Tron pieces on the other side, I think you'll see him take an extra turn just to cycle a couple more creatures into the grave. Another Ancient Stirrings. Okay, he's found his first Tron piece. It's a tower, but he's so far behind here. I think this is going to go to game 3. So he cycles twice. I think he goes around one more time, or is he going to go for it now? Okay, he's just going to play out the Fulminator Mage. I like that play, especially when he's only seen 1 Tron piece. And you can see Brett, he plays out a forest in response to the Fulminator Mage. Scries. But he's kind of screwed here. He's found a second power plant, so he's covering himself against the Fulminator. And he's got an Expedition map, but I think this is going to be too slow because we know that... And there's a Violent Outburst, that's the other card that he's looking for. He can actually cycle that Horror of the Broken Lands and play the Violent Outburst. So he's gonna do that end step here. He'll sack the Fulminator Mage first, because he can get the Fulminator and take down two lands instead of one. Brett had a really poor start, but he's actually found some decent cards, but it's just too slow in this instance. I think he probably needs to mulligan aggressively to find the Relic of Progenitus, and that's probably what he did, and he got stuck with 3 forests. So here's Living End, and there's the lethal damage on board, so we're going to game 3. About 22 damage on board there. Brett's just saying seen a funny sort of interaction on the chat at the end of that game. Brett's like, what the hell just happened? He mustn't be familiar with the Living End. But you can see he's got the Relic. That's what he needs first up. But he's going to be able to evoke that Ingot Chewer. The Ingot Chewer is a nice card. I play it in my Legacy deck. He can invoke the Ingot Chewer to kill the Relic, but 2 Relics here. That's going to be a bit tougher to fight through. Oh, I don't know why he does that. That's crazy. Exiles a Relic just to draw a card. That could cost him the match. Brett, he was in a position. He didn't have to do anything. All he had to do was keep tapping relics, and he would have won the match. And he's gone and just given it away just to draw a card. And the evoked Ingot Chewer is going to take down the second relic. Cycles a Street Wraith. The one thing he's got going for him at the moment is you can. I was about to say, Ivan doesn't have any of his cascades, but he just drew into one. Brett's a card short of hitting Tron here. But this one's looking quite ugly now for the Tron player. Yeah, I think the big play was cracking that relic because I guess he went for it to try and aggressively pursue the win, but he doesn't need to aggressively pursue the win. With 2 relics in play, he could have just kept tapping them each turn, and he would have had. It would have been inevitable that he would eventually get to the win. I think that's going to cost him the match. But Living End is a funny deck. It kind of comes and goes all the time. It has its fans that just play it religiously, but you'll see it a ton and then it'll disappear for 6 or 8 months and suddenly it comes back. He cycles the Ceratops and now he's going to go for the Outburst to get everybody back. What's that? 6, 12, 18 damage on board, so it's a 2-turn clock. And I believe Ivan is going to take modern 2 games to 1. Ostone is a little bit too late to the party. So, Legacy now. Brett trying to pick up some points after Ivan took both standard and modern 2 games to 1. Looks like Ivan is on... What is this? Mono red? Is this a burn deck? We don't see a hell of a lot of burn decks in Legacy. On the other side for Brett, an Underground Sea, probably a Delver deck, Sultai Delver. Oh, he flashes a Pyro, but he doesn't have the red source. So down comes Eidolon. This is very similar to Modern Burn. I wonder if Ivan, if this is actually a deck he owns in paper, because a lot of people, when they just dabble into Legacy, they convert their Modern Burn decks into Legacy Burn decks. To be honest, in my however long we've been covering these league matches, this is the first time I've actually seen somebody play Legacy Burn. Okay, this is red source. But he's going to take a hit from, when Pyromancer comes down, he's going to take a hit from the Eidolon. Go to 15. And Delver's he's going to take a hit from the Eidolon as well, so he's down to 13. 2 Chain Lightnings. This is going... Of course, Eidolon works both ways, so he's going to take a hit from his own Eidolon. And 2 Chain Lightnings means he's going to be able to clean out the blockers. Chain Lightning's a sorcery, so I think I would have cast one of them off beforehand. He might be tempted to throw that Pyromancer in front of the Eidolon here. Okay, Fire Blast is he's gonna sacrifice 2 islands, do 4 damage, 6 coming through, so he's down to 3. So he's actually got lethal on board next turn. True name Nemesis, but I think it's going to be a bit slow. So we go to game 2 because Chain Lightning takes care of that. You can see a Price of Progress there in his hand. It's going to be very good in this matchup. That pesky Deathrite Shaman. I think, yeah, you play out the Swift Spear. Then you can Chain Lightning a Shaman next turn. Two Shamans, okay. What's he doing here? He's gonna float some mana. Floats a blue. Okay, he's gonna Brainstorm. Finds an Underground Sea, so I think that would suggest to me that he didn't have his second land. Now, there's going to be a giveaway here. He fetches a basic mountain. That would suggest that he's on Price of Progress. See if Brett picks that one up. Now, he's trying to bait him again here with the... And it didn't really work. So he missed out on a point of damage there because he could have got one of the death rights. But he's going for a slightly longer game. Rift Bolt next turn is going to pump the Swift Spear to a 2-3. So it's going to be 15, 13, 12. Now, what's he going to fetch here? See how he responds to those two mount. He's going to fetch a Volcanic, so that's a bit dangerous. He's going to take 6 damage from the Price of Progress. Oh, this is interesting. What's he going to name? Cabal Therapy. Target. What's he naming? He named Monastery Swift Spear. There's no Swift Spear in hands, but now he's seen the Price of Progress. So he knows that 17 is going to become 11. Rift Bolt's going to put it to 8. Oh, he's going to use the Rift Bolt to take down the Pyro. Okay, that's alright. Lava Spike will put him further down. I'd be tempted to use a Lavamancer to remove... Well, the Elemental's going to get in front of Swift Spear for sure here. Because if a True Name Nemesis comes down next turn, then Ivan's going to be relying on damage to the face to win this match. So we'll see, Brett's got 3 cards in hand. What can he find? Lavamancer's going to ping him for 2 here. Okay, main phase Brainstorm. He knows about the Price of Progress, so okay, he's a Delver. If he's got a Force of Will, it means it's his last 2 cards in hand. Although he can actually tap Deathrite to get an extra mana. If he has Counterspell, which these decks don't usually play. What's he going to go after with Lavamancer? Okay, so he's going to start going to work on the Deathrite Shamans. I'd fire off the Chain Lightning right now. That's what he's going to do. No, don't do the Price of Progress now. He's going to try and trick him again. This shouldn't work because he knows what's in hand. So the Price of Progress, it does work though. So get the Deathrite Shaman like that. Oh, so the last card was a Force of Will, and that's going to be a good one. He still loses his Deathrite Shaman. So he's got a 1/1 Delver playing off the top of his deck, but he avoided 6 damage. Delver flips on a Force of Will, which cannot be played at this stage. So we know that his card, he's drawn a Force of Will, so he just has to pass the turn. And that's enough. He's seen it